There's a reason that Disney can continue to push out woke flop after woke flop. It's because the movies, they don't really pay the bills. They're more or less just marketing department, very expensive marketing department for their parks. Because whenever Bob Iger does his big investor calls, what's normally driving the direction of the stock prices? Well, that's how well Disneyland and Disney World are doing, if we're going to be completely honest. That's why the biggest legal battles and the biggest L that he has taken since coming back as CEO, which, let's be completely honest, never really left, was against Ron DeSantis, and ultimately what happened, or realistically didn't happen. Some shuffling of the papers in regards to Reedy Creek. It got a new name, and I guess Florida's going to have a little bit more oversight over there. But in the grand scheme of things, the Disney Corporation cares about the parks more than anything else that they do. That's why Disney Plus can continue to operate at a loss, even though by the end of the year, guys, trust me, it's eventually going to turn a profit. And while 2022 and 2023's box office flops and the resurrection that they're having this year ultimately doesn't matter. It's because we know what's coming out in 25, but we know that what's coming out in 25 is a presage for what's coming out in 6, 7, 8, now forever. So when you see headlines like this, Rachel Zegler's Snow White avoided at Disney Parks rather, Disney World and Disneyland are in a hard spot. It's because they know this just really is unpopular. It was setting records, right? Like that trailer, over 1 million dislikes. There's another trailer that's out there that we might be talking about in the near future, has also achieved that distinguished golden ratio. But this just shows you that there are multiple things moving at the same time under the umbrella of giant corporations like Disney. The entertainment, the film, the TV side of things might want to be doing something, but the parks, they don't want anything to do with that, because ultimately they know that embracing Disney princess that doesn't want a prince, doesn't need a prince, is ungrateful for being taken in by the 7 dwarves, instead of trying to provide some kind of value, some kind of worth for saving her from a terrible situation. She's going to instead bombard their oratory capacities, tell them to clean up their house after they've been in the mines all day. Everybody knows that this film coming out in late March 2025, early 2025, is going to be a disaster. The writing has been on the wall for over a year at this point in time, and there's nothing that they can do in order to reverse course for this being a gigantic flop, other than try to minimize it in general and just skate quickly over thin ice. But it's funny where they're going to try to distance themselves from Rachel Zegler's live action adaptation of Snow White, but they'll still have guys with mustaches and dress trying to help your daughters pick out their favorite Disney princess wears at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Usually, when a big Disney movie comes out, you can expect to see characters from the film appearing at the Disney World and Disneyland parks. Now, there are times when those films are so poorly received, losers, that the characters are very quickly shuffled off the list. I mean, are there little elemental characters running around? What about the princess from Wish? Is she going to be walking around with her little frog buddy? Or what about Halle Bailey right there? You can see her down there at the bottom. Are you seeing the little walleye in the aquarium section of Disney World? Yeah, I don't think so. Then there are also times when Disney is stuck with a character tie-in where it simply is no good solution. Such is the case with Little Mermaid, Little Mermaid, a live-action remake in 2023. The film severely underperformed box office expectations. Yeah, it was the first outright disaster in regards to those live-action remakes that they didn't have an immediate excuse for, because Mulan didn't do that well in 2020, but 2020 day and date release on Disney Plus, and all the theaters were locked down because that thing was guaranteed to make what, 800, 900, $1 billion. Sure thing. Yeah, this one came out and stunk up the place. Let's just see how well Mufasa does at the end of the year. Unfortunate news about James Earl Jones recently, but not even he could stick around for what they were ultimately going to do for his second and most prolific voice acting role. How they were going to damage his character. The film severely underperformed, but box office expectations. Instead of breaking $1 billion, the film may have actually lost the money. And the fact that there's a conversation on that just lets you know that those live action remakes, they're treading water, as it were. I'll see myself out. Ahead of the film, the cast placed a heavy emphasis on the race-swapped Ariel character. After the film performed poorly, blame was placed upon a society that allegedly didn't want to view a non-white mermaid. This version of The Little Mermaid isn't made for you. Why didn't you come watch our film? The cycle repeats endlessly. At this point, we believe that you can determine for yourself what you might think have contributed to the film's demise. The Aquafina rapping, that was really bad. Separate from the issue, however, is a huge problem that then faced the Disney parks and experienced division of the company. Meet and greets with the new live-action Little Mermaid were scheduled, casting was done, and publicity was generated. Though the movie underperformed, there was no way that the parks could remove the character opportunity in the way that typically would with a box office flop. So instead, a perhaps even more egregious error was allowed to continue on unabated. While long lines were expected for the traditional cartoon our Ariel. I keep wanting to say Ariel, like Sebastian. That's racism, I think. At a Magic Kingdom, I don't care, so I'm going to continue to say Ariel now. The Hollywood Studios theme park meet and greet with the new Ariel. I get more Jamaican the further we go on. Was often completely empty of anyone attempting to see her. Even Disney must have recognized the problem and had her appear in a less trafficked area of the park. You know what would be really great? You know what? Instead of the big underwater display, instead of being like Magic Kingdom, we're gonna have you a sign in the parking lot. There's a lot of traffic. See, it's in the name itself. A lot of traffic in the parking lot. You just go over there, you'll be perfect, and you'll just send the people that are asking for you over there. Just overflow. You just go over there. It'll be great. While you're over there, just put on a vest too and start, just showing people where to park. That'd be fantastic. But you can see where we're going, because even still, right? Like all the marketing around this was, what's this? You don't want a black mermaid. There's stories about black mermaids. You're racist if you don't watch the film. But in general, there wasn't really much animosity or Halle Bailey herself leading up to or even through the film's theatrical release. She was far more insufferable in the Variety or Hollywood Report, one of those goofy-ass sit-down interviews that we talked about earlier this year, which the previously mentioned Rachel Zegler, but there you can see the disconnect. If there was such a poor reception to this iteration of The Little Mermaid, what can we expect for Snow White? Is there one that's even going to be cast? Rachel Zegler's upcoming live-action remake of the beloved original Disney animated classic is fraught with controversy. The film's trailer has amassed a historic 1 million dislikes since it was shown to the world at D23. Box office projections for the film will likely have the twice reshot amalgamation of boardroom and focus group catastrophes at a flop for the agents. Because I haven't seen solid numbers when it comes to how much this is ultimately going to cost. But this film has been made, 3 times over, kind of like with Captain Black Falcon America, man, because if you think that Disney's going to learn anything productive from their successes in 2024, you got another thing coming. Is now, reasonable to surmise that this could compete with the Marvels and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery for the biggest cinematic losers of all time. So what does Disney do with a theme park tie-in? Because, you could go ahead and mitigate that loss, the historic loss where it was a drop-off of $900 million from Captain Marvel to the Marvels. That will never not be hilarious. And Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, people hated the 4th one. And there's just been so much time removed from the original beloved trilogy. Hell, that was completed before I was born. I love those films. To think, and I don't even, in general parlance, nobody talks about Dial of Destiny and the fact that there was a 5th Indiana Jones film not but a year from its release. Like, that's already been memory hold. Like, that's gone. Disney doesn't have to drag up that box office failure the way that they're going to have to with the upcoming Snow White film. Yes, Disney could also decide to put forth a traditional Snow White instead of, what they did and failed with Little Mermaid. Appearance to the original cartoon look. The problem is that Snow White might be accused of being whitewashed in the effort of the parks. There's no conceivable win here. But if there's anything that we can learn from what happened, if they're going to go ahead and take pointers, even though that, they're not really likely to, in regards to, what is popular and what is poppin', what the direction over there at Lucasfilm has, because you take a look at how Star Wars is represented at Disneyland and Disney World with Galaxy's Edge and how they pay no reverence, to the reason that anybody likes Star Wars to begin with. Like, the parks could take the approach of Lucasfilm the way that they did with publicly canceling the Acolyte, and just shun those wokies, weather the storm, and hopefully they just focus their ire fruitlessly elsewhere. Like, just look at their cancellation attempts. All of those quote-unquote fans just look like the spurgs that they absolutely are. So either the parks do the only sensible thing by casting Snow White, or, because I don't think the promotional tour for Y2K is going to be all that extensive, maybe you get Rachel Zegler out there, put on the dress for like 18 hours and actually earn some of that paycheck that she's going to be stealing when March comes around and that film makes dozens of dollars. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.